appreciation, let me introduce myself again. I'm Professor Morigi from UNIBEN. We are going to look at the realities before us. We have looked at the ideal before. All right? So I classified myself, my own as interpersonal relationship. I didn't say friendship. So we are going to find the lines and we're going to agree on what to do about it. That is what this workshop is about. So if you remember how we started in the introduction, we agreed that decision making is a process. It's a process. And the good thing about keeping record of the process, you could actually work it back. Before you go to step 7, you would have done 6 steps. At step 6, you do a review again. And then you finally go to step 7 to take action. That's what we said the steps of decision making is. So we are going to apply it here, but before then, let's identify the question is, how do we achieve this? I will start with the very first option before us. You need to understand your strengths and weaknesses if you want to deal with the problem of friendship. Why will you change an office environment to become a place to make friends when you know yourself that whatever you put your hand in as far as relationship is concerned, if care is not taken, the worst will happen. So it's expected that we should practically avoid starting a relationship you cannot manage. So there should be self-evaluation. There should be place for you to look at what your strengths and weaknesses are in terms of communication ability, in terms of emotional intelligence. That means I try to look at the substance of emotional intelligence, but I remember that this environment is not an academic thing, so I won't go into too much detail. The point is, your understanding of yourself and how you are able to manage your emotions. That's emotional intelligence. The person that has a higher emotional intelligence is the person that is able to manage himself, understand other people's emotion, and be able to manage it and adapt it in every environment. So you cannot be a leader that does not have a high level of emotional intelligence. Things will get messed up in your hands. So if you understand yourself, you are not the type of person that if you shake someone in the office, that's the beginning of friendship. Then don't shake. And nobody wrote it on the paper that everybody that comes, you must shake hands. All right? I'm going to show you somewhere along the line, there are lines that prevent this 3 level of relationship from mixing up. But this is the first thing. We need to understand ourselves, our strengths and weaknesses. If you are the type of person that will now use friendship to do the negative, stop it now. Don't let it work against the company. Next thing we want to look at, I think I should stop at this point. I've done a first slide presentation and I want to take a reaction on this. This is not a lecture, this is a discussion. So, criticize my definition of the decision we are about to take. Then, criticize my context that I have created. Now look at the first option I have presented. There are many more options coming. Comments, please. Yes.
The fundamental issue we have, most of us, is that we refuse to be true to ourselves. On number 3, we refuse to accept our weaknesses, and we do not even make efforts to understand what our weaknesses are and improve on them. We refuse to accept that we have weaknesses. And where our strength lies, we do not look at them because we are deluding ourselves that we are what we are not. And I think this affects our relationship with a lot of people, and it affects decision making fundamentally. Thank you.
All right. Let me break it down. There are some of us, just go back to my context, that the word peace is not in their own dictionary. Everything they must react to it.
People like me.
No. leave it. Being critical is not being quarrelsome. It's not being troublesome. There are such persons, even if you offend them and you beg, they won't rest. It's not in their mind that this working place, there must be peace. Because if you remove peace, we are not going to achieve anything. Because if you want peace and I want peace, if I offend you, you will easily accept my apologies, isn't it? Because we both have one goal. We want peace in this place. Whereas there are some, they are the one that had the prerogative. Everybody must bow to me. No matter the beg, they will rather destroy what we want to do than to pursue that peace. In the context, that quarrelsome attitude is a negative on them. It's a weakness. And they are not able to see it. There are some persons, no matter what, you cannot trust them. They don't keep to any commitment. No commitment they keep to. Whatever arrangement, if you give them a file and they promise you I will bring it before close of work, 3 days after you have to look for them to remind them you promised to bring it after work. And they are not sorry about it. There is no way the workplace will move. In fact, for asking for that file, you can quarrel. They will tell you, don't you know I'm doing so many other things? Why did you promise to bring it if you know you are going to do so many other things? So these are weaknesses. While there are also some people, please listen to this, that are extremely having abilities in some things, and they become easily offended because others can be carried along. You give them a document, before you turn your face, they are true and give it to you. And they expect everybody to work like that. You don't work like that, they will be angry with the system. So such persons, you have to calm them down. Let them follow, there's a timeline. I have people that work with me like that, and I think I also do that sometimes. If you are too efficient, it's a problem. You don't know. At the end of the day, you will be so far ahead, nobody can follow you, and we can't achieve things. You know, sometimes I tell myself, slow down. You are not thinking as fast as you are thinking. So, they are not thinking as fast, they are not moving at your pace. And yes. So please, you have to be, at the end of the day, it's supposed to be a strength, but that strength may not be harnessed properly because it's a problem. Okay? We may have somebody in the house now that can express himself. That's a strength. If God is not taking, the person can talk where everybody will be in trouble. That strength of being courageous may be used negatively. So what I'm trying to bring out is we need to control ourselves. That's what this statement is saying. If there's no further comment, I can move. I still want to emphasize the word network. It means that there must be 2 levels of networking. Those who are in charge and those who have the components for the network. For example, every department has a role, you know that. There are people in that department who are able to connect their role with other people. You understand? They're able to identify what is expected of them and make it available. But the real leader above is the person that is able to see from above and know what he needs to take from here and from here and get things done. Now, if you don't have such person, he's able to retrieve 2 information. He got account response, he got medical response. He's now looking for the engineering response, and the engineering is not forthcoming. We are going to fail. And that is because engineering does not see what they are doing as a part of a whole. So we have a problem with networking. And you get there, you now, oh my God. I had a meeting in the ministry. The persons that were part of the directors that are supposed to do meeting with me, minuted to by the minister, some of them were not present. And because I don't know the persons, the meeting started. We got to a point, they asked a very sensitive question. Was budget made for this thing? They looked around for the person, discovered that that thing was not in the meeting.
The person was not there.
The person that they now finally rushed to go and bring sat down. They asked him, was a budget made for this thing? He said, I won't lie to you, I don't know about it. He just came, he came in person, but the unit had no information for the network. And it was not put there as a request to find out. They've slowed down the process of that meeting all the way to Abuja, and that was not achieved. So I pray that some of us will not become the clog in the wheel of the network. Okay? Yes, your comment.
Yeah, my own is Who is responsible for establishing a good relationship? In the team. The second part is, now we know, why can't we also recognize as who is responsible for the productivity?
Say your second question properly. Let me get
that's the good. I think they are connected.
Okay. Who is responsible?
Well, first is who is responsible to establish a good relationship and friendship. This one will lead to, when it comes to productivity, who is supposed to be recognized now that we know?
All right. Wow. Very good question. But I'll start by saying that we are all responsible. Okay? But by the time we have looked at the psychology of decision making, you will find that it's not everybody that is actually responsible. We are going to categorize people according to the role they play as stakeholders. Some persons will take the role of responsibility. Some will take the place of accountability. While some will just be consulted, while others will be informed. Okay? So for now, technically, we are all involved now. Okay? We are all going to play a role to make sure that NPA develop good interpersonal relationship. Because at different units, it is not limited to just top management alone. The different departments and the grassroots must operate the things we are saying. It seems to me, to be fair, that when statutes are given, okay, come over. When statutes are given on how a system should run, the core management team does not catch the vision, and they did not carry it to their department to say, let's sit down and work out how this thing will work. We just come to work and resume and we do what we were doing without asking ourselves, why are we doing what we are doing? Has the policy changed? What's our goal? People just do what they are asked to do without asking where it's leading to. There must be core person, at least the head of that department, must know what the department is meant to do in view of the new policy of the organization. If NPA did inside want to be productive, isn't it, to improve productivity? Is there a policy decision on ground right now that each unit is supposed to contribute to achieve it, that each head of department knows that we are working towards that now? We are just doing our routine work without necessarily pursuing a definitive decision to be productive. Yes?
So let me try and throw some light on that question. In my own little experience, the senior management, their objective is mainly to set the goal. This is what we want to achieve. The how we achieve it is set by the departmental heads. I have given you the goal. This is what we want to achieve this year. I work in an industry where we just make money. That's what we do. The company says we want to make 400 million pounds this year. And then all they do is they split that 400 million pounds into different departments and say pricing, well, you're one of the income generating departments, so you're going to make us 250 million. Now, as a departmental head or a director where I work, the last thing I want is for my boss to tell me how, because you limit me. Don't tell me how. Just tell me I have to make 250 million, go away. Because the minute you start telling me how to make that money, you're limiting me. Let me go outside and think outside the box. The only thing I need to know is the FCA regulation as to what I need to do and what I cannot do, and know that if I break the law, I'll go to jail, not him. That's it, go away. Because the minute you start telling me this is how I want to do it, it limits my ability to think outside the box and to be creative and to get my team working. We are all decision makers at different levels. The head has made a decision. This is what we want to achieve based on what he wants to remit to the board. And year on year, I work with private industry. There's always a 20% up in what the profits they want to make. Even when things are getting tighter, the administration, they still want to make more money. Now, if I feel on my own parts, it's going to affect him. Hence, he's going to catch up with me at different intervals and say, you're supposed to make 250 million. Yeah, which means in the first 6 months, you're going to make half. In the first 3 months, you're going to make a quarter. This is 1 month gone, you're behind in 1 month. What are the plans to close the gap? And what are the plans to meet up? One of the problems we have in the system is we don't do reviews. People set that targets, nobody comes back to say after 1 month, let's catch up. Where are we against the plan? Why did we fall short and how do we close that gap? And from your position, after you've been given that responsibility, the people who work for you are also decision makers, or they have a level of decision they can make.
Yes.
Just as you have a level of sign off, you can sign off. If it goes over that amount, you take it to your next boss, say, this one won't pass my amount, you sign it off. Everybody who works within any industry, be it MPA, you need to understand on the day you accept that job, you're a decision maker.
Yes.
You make a decision,
At your level.
every decision you make contributes to the overall productivity of the team. If they don't understand that, then they will be drawing you back. And this is one thing I say. In life, there are no neutrals. People are either adding or subtracting. Nobody is neutral. At the very least, they are wasting your time, which means they are subtracting. So the minute someone doesn't understand he's a decision maker and is not adding, you don't need a prophet to tell you this person needs to be put on, improvement plan or shift elsewhere. Because they are just occupying a space that someone else could come in and add value to the team and the business. So we come back to that point where we know the goal of the company, we use that to judge the people who work with us and for us, and then we have that courage to say what you're doing is not contributing to the overall goal of the business. I'm sorry, I cannot lose my job because you don't want to do your job.
Thank you. Thank you. Let me take us one step back. Yesterday we talked about workplace issues, and we agreed that at the end of this training, the productivity of MPA should improve. We have that agreement. But we also agreed that we will pick the right workers for the right duty. We will address the challenges they have on the job. And then we will create strategies to evaluate the performance of the job. That's what we did yesterday in the workshop. Now we are now shifting to a subsidiary goal of looking at how can we exploit interpersonal relationship to still achieve that ultimate goal of the company of getting productivity improved. And like he has said, and very good question we have been asked, we are all decision makers here at different levels. We are at different levels of decision maker, but by the structure of an organization, there's a top management, principal officers, and there's a departmental head. I hope you know that the department is a grassroots. It is specialized to those statutes that I told you that MPA must do. And in some cases, like you were explaining to us yesterday, there are combination of departmental activity to achieve a common goal. Is there any time that management actually bring out every year, they bring out the policy as it is. Do they carry it now to the next level of department to make them open up and say, this is the way we are going to achieve this? And the department cannot take it to their staff and say, this is the mandate given to us. How do we do it? If that structure, that's what I was explaining yesterday, is called accessible goals. If it is not set up every year, we are just doing our work. We are not even checking whether it's working, isn't it? We are just doing our job. The system did not put something to check the goals we are achieving. So at this point, we have agreed that, like he has asked, all levels of leadership must take responsibility for this. Okay? So let me just quickly move to the next slide. We are now in the second level of identifying the options. There's an option of using your time. This one is particularly related to friendship. Look at this document. You will find that if you are going to do friendship, see the time. Only at lunchtime, not office work. Outside work, or when the office itself organizes a social event, maybe a dinner or a picnic. If they did not create that, my goodness, we know that there is friendship inside the office. Please keep it to lunchtime. Keep it to after work. Oh, so it's not written there, it's after work, but it's actually after workplace, outside workplace, or keep it to when an event for socializing is created. So the question we were trying to answer is that friendship is good outside workplace, during lunchtime, or when a program is created, for goodness sake. We are not going to eliminate friendship as people work together, but we are going to draw the line where it is permitted. Outside this time, the only thing that is allowed is professional relationship and networking. So if you come to the office during working time, it's not the time to go and see your friends. You can go with your friends to lunch. We don't care. After work, you can go with your friends home. Or if they create a dinner or a program that, though it's organized by the company for interaction, you can go there with your friends, isn't it? So we cannot stop friendship from being inside NPA. But by policy, NPA wants to be friends at lunchtime, outside work, or during team event. After that, the other relationships that we want is a workplace relationship, which is professional. And not just professional, I'm doing my job, and your job is not leading to anything. That must lead to what? Networking. And networking must lead to what? Productivity. So that's what we are going to look at. That's another option. Can we implement the decision to force people to schedule their time? The next one is to look at, to show interest in co-workers' activities. This one is critical because it's a combination of friendship and professionalism. Okay? While doing your job, don't forget that it's human beings that are working with you. All right? This one now, it doesn't necessarily mean that the person is your friend. But you should be observant enough to know that the person that used to be agile has slowed down. And you should ask you, are you okay? Or somebody that used to be very lively and smiles is not smiling. You should be able to observe that this person is not smiling. Do you have a problem? You must know at that point that you may not get the best out of that person. When we started, someone said something that touched me. He said we should look at, evaluate whether people are mentally well, healthy to be able to do the job you are giving them. These are the little ways you use relationship to guide things. I'll tell you some very painful experience we have had for people not doing this. In the system we work, we lost an HOD. Very nice guy, always lively. Suddenly, he died. He died in a mysterious way. He committed suicide. You know that those who were his friends felt so bad because they did not observe that he was going down. You can be so official that you did not realize that the human being with you was going down. Now, but one or two persons observed that he did not phone them for more than 3 days. This is a man that must phone him once every day. So he said he felt that something was wrong. This guy must call me once every day. Is that not special in a workplace? He died shortly after that. And nobody, I don't want to go into the details, but do you know that that person was someone that always made people to be happy? Okay, it's moving. But I feel that something was missing. Somebody did not pay attention. That something was changing. So you just face your work. Remember that it's also a human being that is with you there. Especially as a boss. Especially as a boss. There have been sometimes I will force a worker to take a casual leave because I'm noticing that instead of getting the best from this person, complaining a lot, missing your appointment, complying with your treatment, the next time your BP is going up, we are talking, running to health center and say it's enough. You have to take a break. That is not a matter of friendship. It's also professional to ensure that those in the team are carried along. We look at that, and then we look at rendering assistance. Yes, please come in.
Can I just put a slide on that one?
Yes.
So, in my own little experience, because I also do motivational speaking, and I talk about youth, both on social media and wherever I go, I go to schools to talk to students. In my experience, I find that the people who spend more time trying to make people happy, trying to make everybody else's life better, are the ones that suffer depression, anxiety the most.
Yes.
And people don't see it. Everybody comes to you to solve their problem. But what they fail to remember when they are coming is that you too have a problem. The same rain where they fall for Kafanchan, they fall for here. Because life does not select faces and think because you're good, you're nice, you're generous, it will not hit you. It will hit you. But nobody around you, especially family and the people closest to you, they are so insensitive to the fact that you too, you're human. The ones that want to demand and withdraw will keep coming and coming. And that's where this relationship at work could be helpful, because if you have someone who observes a little change in your behavior, someone who's sensitive enough, they can draw you what is happening. And that's where we also, as management staff, needs to be sensitive to the people who are working for us. Because whether we like it or not, the world is not as easy anymore. Things are getting tougher. The resources are getting limited. The population of the world is increasing from over 7.5 billion to over 8 billion today. It is the same resources. If there's anything, the natural resources available to us as humans is reducing because we're tapping the oil on the ground, the gold, the diamond. So the resources is reducing, the population is increasing. What's going to happen? We're all going to get to that point where we'll start jumping on each other to fight on that limited resources, and that's what you're finding in the workplace. So if we in the workplace don't put our heads together to find a way to increase the income, more soon you all be backstabbing each other just to keep the job. That's what's going to come to. Is it that we increase the amount of profits or income coming in, or we're going to be in that position? But from a personal point of view, which we will cover later, we all just need to be sensitive to the fact, especially when you know someone who takes out their time to keep every other person bubbling. That simple question, how are you? The first answer you will get is, I'm fine. And the next question should be, but really, how are you? That's what the person knows. You're not just saying it.
You mean it.
How are you? We ask how are you every day at work. How are you? Yeah, I'm fine.
The work was
great. You've told me about your weekend, but really, how are you? Mentally, emotionally, financially, how are you doing? No, that you ask the question doesn't mean you want to give the person money. But you want to suggest something. You want to help provide a solution.
So, but you can see that point cuts across professional and friendship. The boss, who has all the staff under him, should be able to know how they are faring. Our environment have a social support by itself.
Yes. Our culture.
We know, as I'll be in the next session we are going to do on family, many people carry these troubles home and solve it. All right, so we'll talk about that. If your friends and colleagues did not assist, there's a home waiting to cushion the trouble. All right, so when we start talking family, I'll go back to this. You will know that many people are the first, it is noted that the early time you start a work, you carry problems home from the office. That's what the studies have shown. And the problems, I will be talking about it later, your mood will change, the level of stress, your thoughts, all the complaints, you bring it home. Nobody to talk about it in the office. If you start talking, they say, please keep quiet. That's what all of us are passing through. Are you the only person? So when you get home, your wife or children will help you, or your husband can help you to cushion all the pressure. Okay. No, wait. Let me just, I will allow you to comment on this. But what I'm saying now is that studies have shown that the first time, short-term response to picking up a job is that you have family support. After a while, on the long term, the job will become a problem to your family. The first time you started complaining, they were listening. So your job was bringing problems to your family. After a while, your family have had enough of all this your complaint. They will not carry your problem from home back to the office. That's what we have. We'll talk about that later. So the point is, if people can help you cushion some of the pressures at office, we will do better. The next thing I'll be quick on this, learn to offer assistance, help to carry some of the load. Even if it's not your job professionally, just stretch a helping hand and help. It's very good. Then at some point, even if it is your job, it's not the other person's job. If the job want to kill you, sometimes beg for assistance. You say, no, it's my job. I cannot give my work to another person. You are dying. the system is slowing down, why not just beg? That's where friendship can come in. The person that you used to go out on lunch with, or after work you go home together, I didn't say at work, that person will likely in the office say, bring it, I will help you to do it. He has removed your burden and improved the the company's performance, isn't it? That's what we need friends for, not the one that will add to your problem in the office. All right. The next one is to appreciate each employee's role in the company. Do you know that up to the janitor, the cleaner is important? There was a university structure where even the cleaners were not paid. Everybody was living their life. Nobody knew that they were not paid. They got to one point, they stopped working. In one day, there was confusion. All the rubbish was waiting. Toilets were not cleaned. Everybody started shouting. What does that tell you? That the cleaners were so important, but they were not noticed. It's not how much they are paid, it's how useful they are in the system. I want you to know that for your company to succeed, know that every employee has a role and they are important to the system. The problem we are having now is that you know that people are retiring and they are not employing people. It's not even easy to give people leave now. That's where you now know that those people, you say there are too many. They are not even having a role they play. Now you can't go and leave because somebody else is not there to do the job. You now know the importance of having enough hands in an office. Where I work, I had to employ a personal assistant to me. I pay every month. That work between my office, my clinic, and the university. I've told them before, the staff you're giving to me cannot do my job. Some of them I can't divulge enough to them. But the point is, if you do not appreciate the role of those you are working with, when they are not there, you will know their value. All right? So we want to be productive. Let us treat everybody as important. Then the next one I want to talk about is the issue of building trust and commitment. Remember that part of our contest is that there should be trust, isn't it? We should keep our words. If they give you a job, you cannot do it. Be open enough to say, I can't do it for the timeline, isn't it? If you give promises that you can't keep, you are breaking trust. So the idea of building some professional relationship is to get to a point where we can predict what we can achieve, isn't it? If there is no trust, you are bringing a document, nobody knows when that file that entered the office will come out. Now, as Dean, I will send the routine executive officers to go and pursue documents. Nothing comes out. Time will be wasted. You know what I do? I take my official car. I go straight to bursary. I don't even ask. I go straight to the bursar and said, this document I submitted it. They will call people to bring it out. You will find that those documents were in drawers. But if I send a junior officer there, they will tell them we are processing it. This is source office. Wait for it. 1 month you won't see anything. If they don't pay my external examiners, I'll go straight to bursary and get it paid. That just to get it working. But is that how it's supposed to be? I don't know how males are treated in MPA, but the truth is that people are not committed to their job. Some people misplace the files. You start again. All right. And lastly on this, yes.
How do you deal with the situation when you
Please,
discover that you are working with some group of people that actually need mental evaluation? Honestly, because there are some people that you work with. Worry is a place where you manage crisis. I can testify to that. You know, the truth of the matter is, when you are on this lane, they are on the other lane. They don't seem to flow with their colleagues and all that. It got so bad that I had to draw the management attention to some individual. How do you deal with people like that?
Starting from what you just did, is to use your office to inform management.
Yes, I did.
But most times, before you inform management, you would have talked to them.
Absolutely.
Because most persons don't know.
Talking into this ear,
Yes.
going through the other.
Even the madman doesn't know that he's mad. We will talk about the psychology of decision making. Because we have different personalities and different behavioral paths. But I will tell you something, if you keep quiet, you will increase your stress. And if care is not taken, you will burst one day. And the entire system will collapse. Remember that we said that part of our contest to achieve a productive company is to enjoy your job. If they are doing that, will you enjoy your own job? You'll be thinking of how to run away from that office where nothing is working. So for you to achieve enjoyable working environment for productivity, then you must do something about it. You must take a decision.
The management had to query the people.
They have overstayed.
I will say this and then I will ask a question. Let me say this and I'll ask a question. Do you know that one of the challenges that may be affecting the productivity of MPA is that people are not in their working place? They are not at work. Either they come late and leave early, or they come late, they come late and they still even leave at the working time, or they don't go to work at all, or they choose the days they come, or if you are not careful, if you have more staff in an office, they'll be choosing the days each one will be representing the other. And some come to work and do nothing till they close. Then when they are going on leave, they will carry the file and put it in their drawer and go away. Until they come back, those matters will not be treated. And when you get to the office, they will check it to the person's desk, say it's on leave. On leave. Can you go on leave and that document will not move to the next person? So for us, some people, being present in workplace is a problem. Paying attention to their job is a problem. Communicating with those around them is a problem. In fact, they are just filling space and being in nuisance. So we are talking about workplace relationship. It's a big challenge. In the course of our discussion, we always bring up the positives and the negatives, which are the consequences on the issues that have been raised. But as far as leadership is concerned, at every level you are a leader of something. I hope you know that the gate man is a leader at the gate. Yes, it's at the gate, it's a leader at the gate. There is instructions that he is trying to implement. If you challenge him with the instructions, even to the highest level, they will tell you that's what we told him to do. Now, I want you to know where people miss it. Madam, you need to hear this. If you observe that a worker does not have the capacity or is not behaving right, document. Most times, the decision you take, you can't defend it because you reacted on the spot or you saw something wrong that was not documented that you can't defend. But like this kind of a case, there is documentation. One thing with government system, you can't kick anybody out once they have full confirmed appointment. There is protocol for it. Once somebody is misbehaving, issue a query. If they beg and you think there is remorse and change, you may withdraw the query. You know what I do? In my office, I have pending matters. If somebody that was issued a query appear to have changed, I'll put the file in the pending matters. And I will tell the person you are on probation. Why? Because I had a case just like what he was saying, of a staff that was very energetic working for me, but I did not know that they had a mental illness. After a while, I noticed that his energy was now directed at fighting everybody in the office. And because he worked with me in my office, they were afraid to approach him because the head of the school is a right-hand man to them. Meanwhile, that was not his picture. I now later observed that he was oppressing people. Very young junior staff. They can't talk to him because he's the personal assistant of the team. I gave him query. And they begged. He said he would change, we dropped it. I learned something from that. Do you know that when he subsequently was misbehaving, the first thing establishment said that, did you give him query? So if you had issued query, at least 3, they will be coming in succession if he's not responding. You now have a base. No matter how high the management staff is, you follow the protocol. They will want to hide their own head from that person.